Welcome to Cake Playground, where it's all about the fun.
In this lesson, you'll learn to make your own silicone mold out of a silicone mat to make an Isomalt Monogram. You will need the following equipment: a silicone baking mat, a cutting board, Exacto knife, and scissors, a permanent marker, gloves to protect your hand, cotton and non-latex, a vinyl mat to protect your counter, pre-cooked and pre-colored isomalt sticks, a glass heat-proof measuring cup, and a small butane torch. To get started on this project, print the monogram you want on a piece of paper. Then cut out the monogram with some scissors. Cut on the outside of the black line, leaving some white space. You are now going to use this paper monogram as a template. So place it on your silicone mat and trace around with your permanent marker. Check as you go to make sure the monogram's still lined up so you get a nice clean outline. And then go all the way around until you've traced it and it looks like this.
Now you are going to cut the monogram out from the silicone mat. Place the silicone mat on a cutting board and use an Exacto knife. I start from one of the points and I'm going to cut on the inside of the black line. So you notice that I'm turning the mat and the cutting board so that the Exacto knife is pulling toward me to cut.
Be really careful and keep your fingers out of the way of the knife so you don't cut yourself.
You see, as I'm going around the corner here too, I'm just taking it kind of slow and turning the board as I go, and then loosening the points with the Exacto blade. So just continue cutting around the monogram until it's completely loosened and take it off. So now you're just going to trim the silicone mold to size away from the rest of the mat. You see here I've left a margin on the sides. Be sure and do that. There will be a little bit of residual marker on the mold, so you're just going to take and clean that off with a clean cotton cloth.
When the mold is completely cleaned, place it on top of another piece of silicone mat and set aside. Next, we're going to move on to melting the isomalt sticks. So break about 3 isomalt sticks into the glass measuring cup using your hands or the side of the cup. Put the cup into the microwave. Start off at 1 minute and then go at 20-second intervals until the isomalt looks like this.
Place the mold on top of another piece of silicone mat and pour some melted isomalt into the mold starting at one end. You'll notice here I'm using a gum paste tool just to hold down the mold so it doesn't lift up so that the isomalt will go underneath the mold. You can use a toothpick or skewer or whatever you have on hand.
Try as best you can not to overpour the sides of the mold.
Now you'll let this set until the isomalt is completely hard. When the isomalt is completely hard, you can remove the mold. Remove the top mold first by pulling gently away from the sides. And then remove the monogram from the bottom mat by gently pulling the mat away from the isomalt. Don't tug too hard on the monogram or you'll break it.
My monogram is not as clear as I would like it to be. You see here it's a little opaque. And I'd really like it to be more glass-like and clear like this. So I'm going to use my butane torch to polish the back side of this monogram.
Have a light hand with the torch or you're going to melt your monogram and have it lose its shape. So just have some light little brushes and pull the torch away and then come back again if you need to melt it a little bit more.
And of course, Be really cautious with the flame so you don't burn yourself.
Let the monogram harden back up before you remove it. If it's sticking to the vinyl mat, you can use a knife or spatula to loosen it. Just be careful so you don't break it. And you can see now that it's going to be clear like glass. And here we have the finished monogram that you made with your very own mold.
Now, if you want to put your monogram upright on your cake as a topper, I recommend using some wooden shish kebab type of skewers to support the monogram. So pour a couple dollops of melted but slightly thickened isomalt on your mat and insert the skewers. When those are dry, put them into some melted isomalt and then stick the skewer and the dollop of isomalt onto the monogram. In this case, one on each point of the M. When the isomalt's set up, now you have supports for your monogram. You would insert those into the cake like that, and you would use that as a beautiful topper.
Thank you everyone for joining us in this Isomalt Monogram tutorial. Please come to CakePlayGround.com for further tutorials, equipment lists, and links. Remember, at Cake Playground, it's all about the fun.